Before she was Veronica Lake, Hollywood's golden-haired siren, she was just Constance Ockelman, a restless girl from Brooklyn who seemed destined for an ordinary life. But nothing about her was ordinary. Her childhood was marked by chaos. Her father was killed in a shocking accident when she was just a child, leaving her world shattered. Her mother quickly remarried, dragging Constance through a carousel of new homes and new towns, from Brooklyn to Miami. Teachers described her as dreamy and rebellious. She didn't care much for rules and she wasn't afraid to push boundaries. But that defiance, what many thought was a flaw, would become the very thing that set her apart in Hollywood. By her teenage years, it was clear Constance had something different, a mix of intelligence, attitude, and raw beauty. People noticed her piercing eyes and striking presence before she ever said a word. Some even whispered she had a kind of dangerous charm, the kind that made people uneasy because it was impossible to ignore. Her mother saw it too, and made a daring decision that changed everything. She uprooted the family, moving them straight into the heart of Beverly Hills, believing her daughter wasn't meant for classrooms or small-town life. She was meant for the screen. But Hollywood is brutal. It chews up dreamers and spits them out. Yet this rebellious girl wasn't about to be spit out. She wasn't even Constance anymore. The world was about to meet Veronica Lake. Hollywood has always been about reinvention, and no one did it better than Veronica Lake. She ditched her real name, crafted a new identity, and suddenly a legend was born. Even the name Veronica Lake sounded mysterious, cool, untouchable, and just a little dangerous. Her first film roles in 1939 were so small, they barely had her name in the credits. But then something happened, something completely unplanned, that catapulted her into superstardom. During filming, her long blonde hair accidentally fell over one eye. It was striking, seductive, and unforgettable. Audiences had never seen anything like it. That single accident became her trademark, the peekaboo look. Almost overnight, every woman in America wanted to look like Veronica Lake. Department stores couldn't keep up with the demand for her hairstyle. But here's the scandalous twist. Her influence became so powerful that the US government publicly criticized her. Why? Because women working in wartime factories were imitating her hairstyle, and it was getting caught in machines. Washington literally begged women not to copy Veronica Lake, but they still did. Think about that for a second. An actress so iconic, so magnetic, that her hairstyle was considered a national safety hazard. That's how untouchable Veronica Lake was in her prime. But as Hollywood has shown us again and again, the higher the star climbs, the harder they fall. By the early 1940s, Veronica Lake wasn't just famous, she was untouchable. Studios had found their new moneymaker, and audiences couldn't get enough of her icy stare and mysterious aura. But Hollywood had another trick up its sleeve, pairing her with a man who could match her energy on screen. That man was Alan Ladd. At just 5 feet 6 inches, he wasn't considered leading man material in an era obsessed with tall, commanding heroes. But next to Veronica's petite 5'2" frame, he looked perfect. The chemistry between them was explosive. When they starred together in This Gun for Hire, 1942, sparks flew, not just in the script, but in every glance, every smirk, every tense silence. Audiences swore they weren't acting. The studios noticed. They packaged Lake and Ladd together like a Hollywood power couple, throwing them into one film after another. The Glass Key, The Blue Dahlia. And with each film, the whispers grew louder. Was something happening off-screen? Gossip magazines had a field day. Headlines hinted at late-night meetings, stolen moments, and secret romances. Hollywood insiders swore that what fans saw on screen wasn't just acting, it was real desire. For years, the mystery of Veronica and Alan became one of Hollywood's juiciest rumors. But here's the twist. Decades later, long after the glamour had faded, Veronica Lake finally broke her silence. And what she revealed about her connection to Alan Ladd was more heartbreaking and more complicated than anyone expected. For decades, Veronica had stayed quiet. She let the rumors swirl, let fans dream about the secret romance, but eventually she admitted what no one thought she ever would. "Yes, Alan and I had a connection," she revealed. "Something people couldn't put into words. On set, we just understood each other. It was rare, almost magical. It wasn't just chemistry for the cameras, it was real." But here's where the story takes a darker turn. Veronica confessed that behind the scenes, life wasn't so simple. Fame was crushing, the studios were controlling, and both she and Alan carried demons that made their bond impossible to sustain. She described moments the public never saw, quiet conversations, private confessions, moments of tenderness they couldn't show the world. But she also admitted there were times when their struggles collided, when even talking became difficult. Alan battled his own inner pain, just as Veronica wrestled with alcoholism, insecurity, and a reputation that was slowly crumbling. "It was beautiful and painful," she said. "The kind of connection that leaves a mark on your soul." Her words painted a haunting picture. Two people bound together by chemistry, torn apart by circumstance. To fans, they were the perfect Hollywood couple, but in reality, they were two fragile souls, colliding in ways that were too powerful, too complicated, and too dangerous to last. And that's where Veronica's story takes a dark, devastating turn. Because the same passion that made her a legend was also the force that pushed her down a path Hollywood never forgives. By the late 1940s, the fairy tale was cracking. Veronica Lake had been Hollywood's golden girl, but in a town where today's star is tomorrow's has been, the knives come out quickly, and Veronica made it easy for them. Behind the scenes, she was developing a reputation, difficult, temperamental, impossible to work with. Directors whispered about her mood swings. Studio bosses complained she refused to play by their rules. The press picked up on every stumble, every slip. But the truth was darker than gossip. Veronica was spiraling into alcoholism. She tried to drown the pressure, the rumors, the unbearable weight of her own fame. Her career choices didn't help either. She rejected films that could have saved her stardom, choosing instead roles that critics called forgettable. And then came the personal disasters. 4 marriages, each more turbulent than the last, the death of her infant son after a tragic on-set accident, lawsuits, money problems, public feuds, even her own mother sued her at one point. To the outside world, Veronica Lake was still the icy blonde with the sultry stare, but off-screen, she was slipping. Studio executives who once fought to cast her now avoided her name on contracts. By the 1950s, the star who had once lit up the screen was barely holding on. But what makes her story so haunting isn't just the fall, it's how she refused to stay down. Because Veronica Lake, even at rock bottom, still had fight left in her. Most stars who fall from grace vanish forever. Not Veronica. Even when Hollywood slammed its doors, she refused to surrender. In a move that shocked everyone, Veronica Lake did something almost no other actress of her time dared to do. She reinvented herself completely. She earned her pilot's license. Yes, Veronica Lake, the Hollywood siren, became a licensed pilot. She wasn't content to just play daring women on screen. She became one in real life. She even flew solo across the country, proving she had more guts than half the men in the industry. When the film roles stopped coming, she didn't hide. She took jobs as a waitress and bartender in New York. Imagine it. The same woman who had been on magazine covers worldwide, now pouring drinks in anonymity. And when customers recognized her, she didn't deny it. She'd smile, pour another drink, and carry on. Then, in 1970, she shocked the world again with her autobiography. For the first time, Veronica Lake pulled the curtain back on Hollywood's golden age and revealed the truth about the toxic studios, her broken marriages, her battles with addiction, and the lies that built her legend. Fans who had only seen the glamorous starlet finally met the real woman. Bruised, flawed, but brutally honest. Veronica Lake was no longer a myth. She was human, and that raw honesty is what made her unforgettable. But as brave as her reinvention was, nothing could protect her from the one battle she couldn't win. And it would strike suddenly, just as she tried to reclaim her life. By the summer of 1973, Veronica Lake's fight was over. After years of battles with addiction, heartbreak, and the unforgiving glare of Hollywood, her body gave out. She was just 50 years old when liver disease and kidney failure claimed her life. At her funeral in New York, mourners didn't just remember the icy blonde with the peekaboo stare. They remembered a woman who burned brighter than almost anyone of her era, but who paid the price for it. A woman who had tasted the highest heights of fame and the lowest depths of despair. Veronica Lake's story isn't just Hollywood history, it's a cautionary tale. She showed us that behind every dazzling star there are secrets, sacrifices, and struggles that the public never sees. She was beautiful, she was flawed, she was unforgettable. And maybe that's why her legacy endures, because Veronica Lake wasn't just an actress, she was a reminder that fame is a double-edged sword, one that can make you immortal or destroy you. She was more than a hairstyle, more than a Hollywood myth. Veronica Lake was a woman who lived fast, loved hard, and left a mark that time can't erase.